Welcome to the Sales Prospector Show, supported by Lisa Sales Rep and Inc. 5000 Company, helping our clients grow sales by securing guaranteed appointments, qualified leads, and guaranteed contracts for their services and products across the U.S. I'm your host, Gil Pagan. You can also find us at lisasalesrep.com, and we are on all major social media channels. I have the privilege and honor today to interview Paul Price, CEO of Argyle Forum, based out of New York. And the way I understand Argyle Forum and what they do, they are an organization that provides in-person B2B events, also webinars, and they have and own some media properties that helps to get their clients' message in front of the right audiences so they can generate more leads, sales, and solidify their branding. I'm hoping that I got that right, Paul.
Very good, Gil. Very good.
I'm sure you could do a better job than I can.
No, I think we might hire you.
well, welcome to the show, Paul. It's good to have you. So tell me, tell us what you guys are doing there, and the value you bring to some of your clients. And we had spoken before we got on here, and you guys are doing some exciting stuff. And I'm gonna ask you some questions and interject every so often because naturally I'm have a curious nature, and we're in the sales marketing business as you are for your clients in different kind of ways.
Right.
So tell us what you're doing and share with the audience.
Well, we operate a B2B media and event management business, which supports our clients by allowing them to use our media platforms and the event platforms that we manage to help generate leads for their businesses. We're focused on the B2B segment, and we are particularly focused on the tech sector, the finance sector, the HR sector, and the general management sector, with a little bit of a bias towards marketing. Mm-hmm. Argyle was formed 25 odd years ago, and the company has established itself by being very focused on smaller, more intimate events, which give our clients more of an opportunity to make connections at a personal level. Now, in the current circumstances, our business model has shifted very, very dramatically to digital events. In the second quarter, we converted all of our events to digital in lots of different formats, from 1 hour long to 2 days long. And we are very grateful that has paid off for us. We do already, or had already, managed for our clients a very robust webinar business. We're conducting some 900 odd webinars a year. And with our experience in staging webinars, I think we were in a good place to convert over our live events to digital platforms, right? And happily, our clients were all very enthusiastic to come on board that swap, because look, people still need leads. They still want to keep their sales engine going. And I know that what we do is very important to our clients in that respect. And now, by way of a complementary nature, we do manage, publish 3 very good media titles. We are the publisher of CFO Magazine, which is also CFO.com. We publish Innovation Enterprise, which is a digital title that addresses the entrepreneurial middle management sector. And we publish Performative.com, which is for the accounting community. And we are about to, I'm very happy to say, launch a new digital title called Data X, which comes from our experience in the market sciences, data sciences world, where we've been staging events for some time, and we've decided to complement that business with a new media title.
That's great. So going back a little bit about when you started about the putting on of intimate events, and intimate meaning smaller events versus a large conference that has 20 presenters and 1,000 exhibitors and the like. And you're, from what I understand, you will bring on a client, let's say in the tech, finance, HR, marketing kind of industries, bring on a client and then put together an event, let's say at a hotel in a major city, and you would coordinate that, obviously all the marketing, and to drive those decision makers, right? That could be you, for example, or me, right?
Mm-hmm.
C-level
Right.
suite people into this room, maybe
Yep.
35, 40 high level, 50 executives, and the client, I guess, has some kind of content or something's going on there where they're in front of these people. Is that somewhat accurate?
That's absolutely right. Sponsorships by our clients typically come in the form of, firstly, a speaking role at the event to give them some prominence and give them the opportunity to pitch their business and their solutions to the prospects in the audience.
Mm-hmm.
We have recruited the audience so that it is very representatives of their targets, and in doing so, we also share the list of folks who attended, and in fact we share the list of folks who registered but didn't make it, because that's always going to be the case. In addition to that, our best clients, I think the ones that are the most successful at harnessing what we do for them, will send along their own folks in a live event context, to work the room, to
Yep.
network with people and so on. And they might also buy a booth where the event allows for that. We do stop at around 500 odd people as attendees. We've done some in the 1,000 odd range, but our bread and butter event is in the 1 to 200 arena.
Mm-hmm.
We typically go to a lot of trouble to get very nice environments for these things to be staged in. We go to a lot of trouble to recruit very, very relevant and expert speakers and panelists.
Mm-hmm.
That combination is what we use to market to our potential guests, and we undertake in most cases to meet a certain registration target for our sponsors. So then through our media titles, we may also include our sponsors with some coverage in the media titles. Mm-hmm. We may use the media titles to support the events because the media titles happen to be used by the community that we're wanting to attend. And so we have this kind of ecosystem, if you will, where our clients are free to choose from, look, I want, for example, a 1-hour strategic workshop involving a selection of up to 10 prospects for their business, attended by senior people on their side. Mm-hmm. and sometimes facilitated by us. And we will find a very swank restaurant in the Manhattan area or in the downtown Chicago area or wherever that happens to be. Mm-hmm. And we will ensure that all those components come together for our client, who can then pitch at that level. Or as I said, we will, as we've done for several clients, and as is growing in demand for us, despite the circumstances, is a series of events that seek to capture different communities in different markets over time. So, for a very large technology company that you would have heard of, we have operated 6 events pre-COVID. One was in Chicago, one in LA, one San Francisco, one in Atlanta, etc. And by virtue of that, we fulfill our plan to give the client through these events, a very, very strong, almost annual pipeline, as is the case because of the size investment. It would want to warrant that sort of return. And then on the other hand, we've got folks who are, a little strapped for budget. We will offer them an involvement in an event at a very economical level by way of getting access to the registrations, and that can start for as little as $20,000 or $30,000.
So no, that's good. That's good. Is the business model for Argyle, is it centered around developing an event yourself first and say, okay, we're going to do an event in Chicago, we're going to take out this hotel, we're going to book 20 rooms where workshops are going to be done and speaking engagements, and then you in turn start to market to sponsors, people to buy spaces and booths and all that? Or is it the flip where somebody comes to you and says, listen, I want to get in front of these people, can you help me put on an event? So which one is it? Is it both, or is it really one more than the other?
It's both, Gil. We on the one hand, look, the bulk of our business is programmed events that we design and host and produce.
So let me interrupt there. I'm sorry. So you host and produce. You say, I'm going to do a cybersecurity event.
Correct.
It's going to be in Chicago, Illinois. We're talking about cybersecurity risk in the midst of COVID.
Yep.
Hypothetical.
Yep. We have one today.
Right.
There's one happening today.
Perfect today, right?
Yep.
Everybody working from home. There's a lot of risk going on, all that kind of stuff, and they're VPNing in and all that. So you decide to put on the event. You, the Argyle Forum, we're going to put this event on. Now we're going to go after companies to buy into sponsorships, booths, speaking engagements, and all that. So you're laying out whatever that is, the risk and the investment, because you have to secure all this, right? And
correct.
Going out and getting customers, right? Okay, that's one way, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry. So the second way is
second way is these are custom events. Where the client comes to us in the case of the technology company I was mentioning earlier. They say, look, we need X amount of leads for the year. They need to come from this community, and we would like to invest in an event management program to support our sales team and our field marketing teams. And we will design something by understanding who that community is, where they live. Who are the ideal prospects, and we will design a program for that, which might look like half a dozen events in 6 different cities at 6 different venues. The client, we will help the client tailor the content so that the content comes across as both informative as well as being commercial, and that's a very important value we bring along to the table. Our executive producers are very like folks that you would find in the media industry. They are subject matter experts in their fields, and they, with their expertise, we'll create a document that plans out the nature of the event and who are the sorts of people that should be speaking at that event, and our executive producers will often have a Rolodex because of their, you know, their time in that industry. You know, they know who the big opinion leaders are, and the subject matter experts are, and they will, using that, bring that value to the event. So one is a way in which we can map an entire year, and we typically map out in detail quarter by quarter, so that we have the ability to move things around a little bit because circumstances require that they do, or because we have a client who'd like to come on board with a custom event on a certain date, which means we have to move another event, and so on. But on the other hand, we will, you know, quite actively seek folks who would like us to design their 6-month program, or their 12-month program, or even their 3-month program. There's really no limit, but they want to use event marketing because, look, events are still in business to business marketing. There are sales and marketing. There are 3 top marketing tactics, and event marketing is number 1 consistently. It has been for many years.
When you say event marketing, you mean trade shows,
that's right,
face-to-face
exactly.
engagement. That's what you mean.
Exactly right. Yeah, the sort of things that we do. I mean, we don't do the big trade shows. You know, those things are entire businesses in and of themselves. Right. We are a very different model, and more specialized, and you know, somewhat more, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit more targeted, I'd say.
Yeah, you're a sharpshooter instead of a shotgun.
We are, yeah, but I don't want to criticize a shotgun because sometimes you need a shotgun.
I get it. I get it. That's okay. You're in your space.
Yeah, we're in our space and we're good at it. And, you know, we have over 1 million records in a database that we've developed over time, which is very proprietary. It gives us an ability to fill rooms because, again, we are typically looking to fill the room with decision makers. Right. And they're often C-suite, or they're director level and above. We are typically trying to bring people along from businesses with, you know, revenues of above 50 million, and so on. And so, you know, over time, we've developed a lot of tools and data to support delivering those people.
Right.
Now, you know, again, currently we're doing all of that digitally, and I have to share with you, I'm delighted that we firstly made the change for obvious reasons, but secondly that, you know, it's proving to be a very, very good step for us because our registrations are through the roof. You know, people working from home, of course, are now, I think, a little bit more inclined to engage in these sorts of things. Sure. And I see it as a really important segment for us going forward. You know, we'll go back into the live event business, but we may do more digital events than live, for lots of good reasons.
Yeah, I think that just my perspective is that the cost structure for the businesses that would be involved, meaning they would be sending their people to be in the room, traveling, hotel stays, all that. They save all that cost, irrespective of whether you change your pricing model, because you're not doing in-person stuff, you're doing just basically webinars. Yeah. So there may be a shift there in your pricing model for that, but the business clearly saves all that travel and time. So there's definitely a cost savings there. Now, the question remains is, will the results for that business be the same? Time will tell, right? Versus the face-to-face environment. I don't know.
You know, it's a very important question. And, you know, we're seeing not much of a difference so far. And in some respects, because the numbers are better. And I'm saying, you know, order of magnitude, they're 15 to 20% better. You know, we're not talking about a small increase. You know, we are reaching more people through our digital events. And of course, you know, the beauty of digital is that there are no boundaries. You know, we were confined to the ballrooms or the conference rooms of the hotels we might have operated in, or the venues that we might have operated in, and therefore we were dependent upon how far people were prepared to travel or fly.
Right.
And in this case, you know, we're reaching folks in markets we're not conducting events in, simply because it's so much more accessible. And I think almost for that reason alone, it's something we're going to take, you know, a great deal more time in helping to develop. And as you say, it's somewhat, the economics are somewhat better. You know, there's a lot of things that don't go away, and you know, there's our people haven't. A number of people we need to stage these things and to do them at the level that we expect to do them at, which is very important, because if we don't do them at the right level and the content isn't satisfying for people, they won't show up. So, you know, our number one job is getting people in, you know, onto logged in and registered and attending.
So I get sorry. So
go ahead.
when you get the obviously the digital content and the webinars and all that, you got to target these people now, and you got to email them more than likely. So C-level execs are getting emails from you. They may be, I don't know, they may be getting direct mail. I don't know if you're doing LinkedIn stuff, but you're trying to drive these people to the event. And now, is the event, when it's virtual versus in person, does the prospect, the decision maker, the CEO in the room, do they pay to be in that room on top of
No.
No? So
No.
it basically
Most of our model is sponsor based. So yeah. Now we do have events where there's tickets, and CFO Live is one of our kind of flagship events. It's actually coming up as a digital event in about 3 weeks. And, you know, ticket sales for that have been pretty good.
Good for you.
And we have another event following that in the data sciences world, where, you know, we will be marketing tickets. But for the most part, you know, we offer, firstly, we have a membership to Argyle Executive. Some hundreds of thousands belong to that, to the Argyle Executive Program. And for their membership, they get access to these events. They get early bird status and VIP status in terms of registering. They get access to content from the events, as well as access to the networks that are put together for these events, and in many cases continue to exchange with one another long after the events are over. And so, you know, we create a lot of value for our sponsors through these ecosystems, if you will. You know, offering it to members who really only need to register and agree to the registration, you know, is a great incentive to have access to these things. And in return, it gives our sponsors, you know, like I said, it's a very difficult list to develop, the one that we've got. You know, it's taken a lot of time. You know, it requires constant management, as you might imagine, and updating and so on. So,
no, I gotcha. The average, I guess, your customer, when you talked about the prospect, you know, your industry verticals, tech, finance, HR, you said general business, but then you kind of dovetail into marketing. So when you talk about that customer and they're working with you to put on some kind of events, what kind of ticket are we talking about for that customer that they're selling in order to make it worthwhile to use your service to get in front of these people? Because it sounds like, you know, clearly you're not a low ticket service by any means. So, you know, clearly you're spending a lot of energy, time, and effort. Your database is robust. You're driving people to these events, and all the teams and all that kind of stuff that you're using to do that. So, if you're engaging with a prospect, what kind of ticket do they need to be selling? Like we do medical devices as an example, and
Yeah.
a device, it could be $150,000 sale. It could be, so
Sure.
it could be a large. Now I may
Yeah.
take 9 months to
Yeah.
get there, but
Yeah.
so give me a sense of like what those numbers are to even make it worthwhile to have a discussion with you guys.
Well, look, you can come on board. Let me flip the question. You can come on board as a sponsor for around $20,000 to $30,000. That's typically where we start, depending on the event and the community that the event is targeting, and the nature of the content. So now we can get into the six-figure ranges pretty quickly through sponsorship of multiple events, or taking a single sponsorship of an entire event, which eliminates our ability to sell it to more than one person. So we're seeking return that way. And then a custom program, which could be someone saying, look, I know I need event marketing, and I know that it's going to be an important source of leads for me, but I don't have the people to do it. I've got a budget. What can I do with this, and how many can I do, and what sort of leads would that look like? We can help folks understand all that. The economics are almost always pretty favorable, Gil. In exchange for the leads, a cost per lead basis, the event industry has been pretty consistent in terms of what it tends to deliver, in the hundreds or so per lead.
$100 or 100 leads per?
Hundreds of dollars. I'm not going to quote the exact number because it varies, so, but the exchange there is the quality of the lead. When we've got someone in the room that comes from the community that our clients sell to, that's an interested party. They're
right.
not
$50 million company, $100 million company CEO, CTO.
Yeah.
He's not going to go to your event and waste his time then.
No, and they're probably actively buying. They probably are in a mindset where they're exploring, various subject matter in a certain industry, and they're doing that because they're framing their strategy for next year, or they're having to address a challenge that they've been presented with that they didn't expect to be presented with, and so folks who come along, I think generally, and I don't mean this to be too generalized, but there's very few people who come along to our events that aren't in some way, form or another a strong prospect over time for our clients. Now, if the sales cycle is 9 months, then it's 9 months, but again, you can catch people who are at the tail end of that sales cycle already, and they're actively in market, right?
Of course.
So look, we've got a bunch of data around all of this, helping our clients understand what typically we can do and what that looks like.
So generally speaking, we get this question from prospects and also people in our network. They'll ask us, we don't do any consulting or training. We don't do any of that stuff. We're heavy hitters, right? So we actually close deals, right? We generate the leads, the interest, the meetings, get in front of decision makers and close. We're hunters. So we'll get questions like, we're selling a $100,000 technology software product, and we want to get in front of enterprise level clients.
Yep.
How are those enterprise level clients, Lisa sales rep, how are they making those decisions? How are they fielding vendors? What source are they using to get, I need this particular, I'll say cybersecurity. I need this particular cybersecurity product to protect my network. I need to talk to a couple of vendors and present my situation. What are they using, to talk to vendors? And typically what we have encountered, and you can with your knowledge plug in here, is that somebody at that level looking for a hospital level enterprise cybersecurity kind of solution to protect their network for HIPAA and all the malware and what do you call ransomware, right? So they're looking at these huge investments. They'll do a couple of things. They'll either talk to experts in their field like them, CTOs and that kind of thing. They'll go to an association they become part of, or they're part of, to try to get, some vendor recommendations, or they may actually go to an event like these events throughout the course of the year. But
Yeah.
or is there anything else where they may be looking for the audience, right? Where they may be looking for recommendations
Yeah.
for to apart from the event stuff? Are they looking somewhere else based on your knowledge of the industry?
Look, I won't speak specifically to the tech sector. I'll make this comment generally. Firstly, in B2B marketing, in my view, a lot of folks overlook search engine marketing and organic search engine management. B2B search behavior is very, very high. I'll give you one example. It's a personal example, but a few years ago, I ran one of the world's largest e-commerce photography companies. We would take 1 million photos a month for our clients, predominantly fashion clients, but lots and lots of people who needed quality imagery of their product to go on the e-commerce site. And by the way, if it wasn't good enough, it wouldn't sell. So, it had to be very, very high quality. And when I joined the company, my first question was, well, what are we doing? What's our SEM plan? And I got lots of blank stares in the room. And I said, well, look, let's go implement an SEM strategy. No one believed me when I said, look, I think it's worth us understanding the market's response to this. These are not big investments. We can tailor, we can experiment a little bit here, but do me a favor, get one in place and do it quickly. So, now, we were the only company in our space to do this, so costs were even more affordable because we weren't bidding against lots of other people for certain words that are important to our industry. Anyway, fast forward, one day we get a phone call. It's from one of the world's largest auction houses. I'm not going to name the company.
Sure.
They produce hundreds of catalogs a year, and they have to take a photo of everything they auction. And that photo needs to be a good photo, because if it's a $2 million vase, it's a vase, a Greek urn with a $2 million base on it, it needs to look pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, they reach out to us, and that contract is worth $2.5 million.
Wow.
And we proceed to win that contract. And we said to them, well, how did you find us? Oh, we use Google. You were the only company that showed up on the Google search.
Whoa.
As credible.
Wow. Wow. So
now, I don't care what you're selling, but if you haven't got that base covered,
right, sure,
you need to try. If you haven't tried it yet, firstly, you should. But the numbers are really pretty convincing when you look into buyer behavior in business-to-business arenas. And I'm not saying that this is, a silver bullet. It's not a silver bullet, but it's one of those, as you said, what are the things that we tend to overlook? That's one of them. I think social media marketing is another area that is overlooked quite too much. Business-to-business salespeople and business-to-business decision makers are still people. And they're still prone to behave like normal people do. There's nothing different to them.
They'll go on Google. And they'll search.
They'll go on Google. They'll use Facebook. They'll use Instagram. They'll use Reddit. They might even be on TikTok. Who knows, right? They probably are. I think we're now at the stage where no one doesn't get engaged in social media now. I think it's practically television, right?
Yeah, right.
In terms of the people that it reaches. So, that's another area where I really urge folks to take a good look at and not be closed-minded about. We use all of them. We use digital advertising, we use search, we use social media marketing. I mean, I'm not, preaching something here we don't do.
Right.
And I think a good deal of our success in registrations has to do with the fact that we do use, a very, very interesting marketing mix that I know is pretty unorthodox compared to others. So.
Yeah, no, that's good. I agree with everything you said. I think that the buyer's journey, and when they're looking for a service or a product,
Yeah,
they typically will start online and start, punching in terms, and they'll start 3 weeks ahead, 4 weeks ahead before they even contact you. And
sure.
that time frame, they're
Yep.
looking at your website, they're looking at LinkedIn, social
Yeah,
media, Facebook, Twitter. There's kind of and whittling down their list, and then boom, all of a sudden, 4 weeks later, they reach out to you, but they've been
yeah,
seeing you for the last month.
yeah,
So I agree, and didn't know if that really applied to high level decision, product purchases and the like that $100,000 solution. And again,
yeah.
maybe part of that, and they may pull in other information as well from other CTOs and
Right.
associations, and say, wow, these guys keep coming up
Yeah.
in different places, and you're it's like people will reach out to us, and they'll say, well, why did you reach out to us? And well, you're everywhere. Every time I look, you were there. So
Right. That's right. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so very similar probably to if you look at, again, not knowing your SEO, but somebody's looking for event marketing and management and programs, I'm sure you will come up in different places because
Yeah.
of what you do, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you got to be there because you're pushing out
Right.
your content to get people to come to something. So
Yeah.
you have to dominate that space.
Yeah.
That yeah. So it makes a lot of sense to me. So it sounds like for those who are listening, the entry level point to do something with your organization is in that 30,000 kind of sponsorship package, which goes way up from there based on what you're doing for the
Yeah.
client.
Not two way up, Gil. Not two way up.
No,
I
I
mean,
got you.
no.
That again, I don't know where the top is, but
Yeah.
that's the entry level point.
But we do,
Yeah,
just by way of example, we
yeah,
do business with literally thousands of companies,
right,
annually. We,
right.
the number of events we operate, and the range of available investments that our clients can make with us, brings in a very diverse
Yeah.
range of companies. We do business with Fortune 500. We do business with startups that have got tiny amounts of seed money. We're delighted to help.
Mhm.
I think that's one of the things I like so much about this business. I've been in the marketing services world for a long time in
Mhm.
one guise or another, but this is a business that can, is very accessible, and is very effective when it's used well. When our clients come on board with good content, good
Mhm.
speakers, a compelling proposition, and they know what they're doing, we'll get the audience in front of them, and they'll get business. That's not not in dispute,
Mhm. Gotcha.
Um, so one of my, the reasons I like the business so much is as I hope you can tell, but it is a very important strategic tool for the sales world.
Mhm.
And even without live events for now, and we'll be back in the live event business, I'm sure, but even without it, it's still a very effective aperture to pitch your product or service through to people who they're listening, because they want to be listening. They've registered, they've shown interest, they're reflective of the buying community,
Mhm.
um, and as compared to um, completely cold calling, which has its merits, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think, there's lots of different parts of the sales journey. I think we do fit in that discovery phase to some extent,
Mhm.
but I also think that we help shape and reaffirm decisions through our sponsors' presence. When people say, yeah, I know those guys, we work with them and they do a good job. Again, that's another very important part of the psychology of the sale, right?
Absolutely. So when you're doing and we'll start to wrap this up in a bit. When you do the actual event, Again, we'll stay with the cybersecurity example. So you will use social, obviously, social media and the like,
Yep.
and you'll use your list, right?
Mhm.
And that which is probably has emails on it. And you're emailing your list,
Yep.
you're using your magazines, your media publications, if it's,
Yep.
I guess, relevant to what you're doing. I
Yep.
suppose. You may even put an ad in there, I guess, for the
You're
event
right.
if you control
Mhm.
the magazine. Right? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you do that. And will you do any radio, TV, or calling to drive people to the event? Or was it basically more hands off, kind of email, social, more passive, and kind of approach?
Look, I would say we are a little bit more precision targeted
Mm,
because of the nature of the folks that we're trying to recruit to come to these events or to join these events online.
mhm.
Um, Radio and television, even in local markets, would be a bit of a blunt instrument,
Too broad, right?
too broad, and it would be lost on a lot of people,
Yeah,
and I mean, I'm sure
I
they take
agree.
our money, but I don't think it'd be very much fun for a listener on a rock and roll station somewhere in,
Right.
uh, you know,
Hmm.
whatever market to hear us tell people to come to an event because you're going to X,
Yeah, you
Y,
got
and Z.
10,000 as an example. Sorry, you got 10,000 people that may be listening to a drive time show from 8 to 9 in the morning, and that may be a business focused radio talk show at that time. They may have a large audience, but then
Right.
at that 5 to 10,000, you may have maybe 100 who may be your target, and they may not be even be listening at that time.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. And
so
look,
it's a hit or miss, right?
yeah, I'm an agency guy, Gil.
Okay. Okay.
I grew up in that industry. I was in
Yeah.
it for 20 years.
Yeah.
I love that business.
Hmm.
But, for this business, it's just not the right thing to do.
Right.
We can be, firstly, we use artificially intelligent um, software of our own to
Mhm.
improve and enhance our database all the time. So we are constantly grooming the database
Mhm.
so that its ability to generate registrants in a certain category is above average,
Mhm.
because these folks have got a predilection towards interest in this industry. So that's something we do. It's quite proprietary. It's very, very valuable. It's quite, sophisticated in terms of database marketing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, Now, and then we translate that also into how we go about using digital marketing, digital advertising, search, social media, and so on. Because all of those platforms, again, are very, very, they're very data sensitive. We can be very discriminating in terms of who we reach out to. One of the things I would say is that we do is where we can, we buy space on blogging sites and bloggers that are,
Influential and
influential, and we
digital
often
stuff.
seek, yeah, we often seek bloggers who are influential to attend as speakers. Like I said, we have a very open mind about each event in terms of getting the right speakers and getting the right audience.
Mhm.
And it's not a black box.
Right.
Gil, it's in my experience that would be the wrong approach, because these are all very dynamic industries. They're changing all the time. New people are coming and going. And again, part of the fun in being in the business is that, if I spend my usual year attending my usual collection of events, I'm coming out of those events with a great deal of good new knowledge that we strive to get distributed through the events to make them, satisfying and fun to attend.
No, that's great. So we're going to get now to the lightning round questions.
Sure.
And this is more the fun part, okay?
Okay.
I think that the stuff we were talking about was fun also. We just love marketing, love sales, love doing what we
As
do,
do I.
right? But
Yeah.
we enjoy what we do
Yeah.
for a living, and that's
Yeah.
good, right? It makes the 40, 50 hours, 60 hours a week that you may be working fun and enjoying what you're doing, right? So do you drink coffee? And if you do, is it hot or cold?
It's hot and it's French pressed. That's my
Ooh,
go-to.
very nice. Your favorite food?
Um, I like simple grilled, healthy food. And if I had to put a flavor to it, probably something from a Thailand or a Vietnam or Malaysia.
Sounds spicy. Uh,
Yes,
yeah. Okay,
spicier the better.
I hear you. Hot dogs? You eat hot dogs?
Uh, Avoid them.
Okay, okay.
I'm in
Uh,
New York, Gil. I
well, I
don't
thought
eat street meat.
a guy at your yeah, mystery meat. I thought I thought your guy at your level would eat a dirty water dog with some onions on it. You know what I mean, but no, okay, I was wrong there.
I've served them at lunch. You know, I've served them for parties,
I
but
won't eat
my
them.
hot dogs are a little different.
I gotcha. What about hamburgers?
Yeah, I love a hamburger.
Ketchup or plain or something else?
Mustard.
Mustard. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, every day.
Pizza. Pizza?
Nah, not a big fan.
Okay. Apple or Android?
Apple, yeah.
Okay. PC or Mac? So you're going to be a
Mac,
Mac guy, right?
yeah,
Okay. Uh,
100%.
laptop or desktop or both?
Laptop.
Laptop. Okay.
Smaller the better.
Okay. I hear you. If you can go anywhere in the world today and time and money would not be an issue, where would you go?
I've always wanted to go to St. Petersburg in Russia, but while Putin's still there, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna
I'll pass.
go up. I've always wanted to see the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, and just that part of the world has always been very interesting to me. So,
Wow. So you enjoy hot or cold weather?
oh, I love hot weather. I was born in Australia in a hot part of Australia. So,
Oh, yeah, it gets like 150 degrees out there or something. It's like
yeah,
wow. So do you wear a wristwatch or no?
no,
Okay.
used to, but I don't anymore.
Okay. That's interesting. A lot of people don't because they have it on their phones and the like.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm not one of those. I'm a wristwatch.
All right.
All right.
No, they're very handsome, Gil. I think they're beautiful, but
That's
I
okay.
just fallen out of that habit.
Yeah, that's fine. I was just curious. So when you're reading books, are you using paperback, hardcover, or Kindle, a digital kind of format?
You know, all of the above. I have typically 3 or 4 things on the go at once, and I pick them up and I put them down, and I love a hardcover book. I think there's nothing quite like sitting down and I look to read about half an hour to an hour a day, and but often that means the Kindle
Mm,
because it's on the same iPad as the
handy.
one I use, right?
Yeah.
But I do love books. I'm an avid reader, and I think my mistake is always buying too many of them and having too many to read.
You got to crank through all of them. And you buy before you finish the 5 that you bought another 3.
That's right. Yeah. I love bookstores. I don't know about you, but I could spend a day in a bookstore.
Yeah, I like them as well. I'm a paperback kind of guy.
Yeah.
I don't do the Kindle. I like to have the book in front of me. I like
Yeah.
to read regular newspapers, the Wall Street
Yeah.
Journal, hard copy. That's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
I think the gray hairs are a little bit different. Us guys are a little bit different
Yeah.
than the crowd personally.
Yeah. But I think the Kindle lets you pack light, when you travel,
Yeah.
and it means you can carry a couple of copies of stuff on it with you. So,
Right. It's more, yeah, it's definitely easier to move around.
yeah.
So obviously you listen to podcasts, I'm assuming. Do you?
Yeah, I do. And, I have a few favorites.
Mhm.
And I'm not as regular as I'd like to be, but I do.
Okay. And are you a dog, cat person, or neither, or goldfish?
No, I'm a dog lover.
Love
I'm
Uh,
a dog lover.
and before the movies closed, right, the cinemas and all these kind of things, were you a movie person, a Netflix streaming kind of person,
Both.
theater?
A movie lover. Yeah, my son and I love the movies. we go as often as we can, despite what crap is on sometimes. I've seen every Transformers movie. I've fallen asleep to most of them, but I don't mind. You know, it's I love film, and I have done since I was young, and my son happily has picked up the habit too. So
That's great. That's great. I'm glad. You enjoy that. Well, we've been talking today to Paul Price, the CEO of Argyle Forum, and they are a great organization that puts on in-person B2B events, webinars, and they have multiple media properties that help push out messages and marketing events so that they can drive interested prospects, qualified prospects, decision makers to events so that their clients can get in front of those decision makers and pitch them and get more leads and sales, and also solidify their brand. And they do this across the country. They have ways to get their clients in front of the right people, entry-level programs starting about $30,000 a year, you know, and they work with the clients based on their needs to help them get to the right people. So we hope that you enjoyed listening to the show and to the podcast. And Paul, thank you so much. You're a very interesting business. I love talking to you about what you guys are doing. And I wish you all the best in this year, in the midst of what's going on here, that you will be extremely successful and you have triple digit growth. And that going into the new year, thank you. And going into the new year, you're stronger and propelled for more growth. Thank you so much for being on the show.
You're welcome. Thanks, Gil.
All the best to you.